Do your players ever feel that they've been cheated because you didn't make something clear when something was about to happen? Are you looking for a better way to telegraph danger to your players? Well, there are plenty of ways to foreshadow or communicate things better. Being a master, I think, of foreshadowing is the difference between being a good GM and being a great GM. Hey everyone, I'm Heavy J, and I've been a DM for nearly 40 years now. I've got a lot of techniques that I use in my adventure design to foreshadow danger to my players. Today, I'm going to share with you my quick and dirty little tips that I used in my adventure design today on Fat Dragon Adventure. There's a lot of ways to foreshadow danger, but I'm going to give you some of my favorite ways. This will soften the learning curve for some of the newer GMs and bring your game to the next level for the more seasoned GMs. Believe me, nothing sucks more than having your players cry foul, especially when they feel they weren't given the opportunity to prepare for what lies ahead. To get started, consider adding setbacks or near-death experiences into the player's journey to really drive home the fragility of life and the importance of caution. I think allowing player characters to be paralyzed or even knocked unconscious during their first encounter can really serve as a wake-up call. I think this highlights the risk of adventuring. I usually then, after something like that, will introduce a good-hearted NPC, such as a witch or a cleric, who aids in their recovery, and all the while, they're going to be giving them valuable wisdom about what the dangers are that lie ahead. Though I think we've all had that one player that killed the well-intentioned NPC. Give me a thumbs up if you've been there. Players, need I say more? But anyway, I think that this is a sort of humbling experience that reinforces the notion that not all adversaries will show mercy. It also urges the party to proceed with greater caution as they go forward. I feel it's important to heighten suspicion as well. When a player investigates an area for traps or ambushes, subtle language choice can heighten their sense of caution. I like to use phrases like, "You didn't notice anything," or "It appears to be safe." I think this really plants the seed of doubt in the players' minds. And when you do this encourages them to exercise greater caution while exploring. And this will create a sense of tension and uncertainty in your game. Now, to show the real stakes of an upcoming encounter and put the fear of death into your players, you should introduce a formidable NPC who ultimately meets their demise at the hands of a more powerful villain in your story. And now there are several ways that you can do this. You can do this through direct observation, or you can do it by discovering the aftermath of a brutal showdown. I think by your players witnessing the defeat of such a skilled character, it will serve as a very sobering reminder of the dangers that they face ahead. This will in turn remind them to approach future encounters with a little bit more caution. Think of it this way. Think of the scene from Star Wars when Luke witnessed Vader striking down his master, Obi-Wan Kenobi, on the Death Star.
Ben?
The next way that I like to foreshadow is by giving my players an opportunity to do some research prior to starting the adventure. My players at my table greatly appreciate this when I make it available to them. In fact, I think this form of foreshadowing is their most favorite way. To do this, I usually have a visiting NPC scholar meet the players somehow. I think that if the monster or the dungeon or the haunted manor is famous enough, it may be the subject of some academic interest. So when you have this scholar show up to the party's camp or to their room at the inn and announce their interest. This kind of opens the door for this NPC to show up. And I think it usually goes something like this. Greetings. My name is Professor Lilyfoot, and I'm writing a study on mind flayers. So I'm curious, how do you plan to overcome such a dangerous creature and their mind blast? You know, I could offer some suggestions in exchange for you acting as my field assistants. I think this is a great way to introduce what I like to call the tag-along NPC. And the tag-along NPC can provide valuable insights into what the players are up against. Plus, it also creates some interesting combat encounters too when the players need to protect the tag-along from possible death. I usually remind the players that the tag-along is a 0-level character and that any damage would probably kill this character outright. The players will just about do anything to keep this NPC alive. I think the loss of the knowledge would just be too great a disadvantage if you do this right. The next way is what I call the left behind. Have the party approached by an NPC from a previous adventuring party that things didn't go too well for them. I think that this lone survivor would be willing to give the players warning about the upcoming dangers, but in exchange for something, like retrieving the bodies of their friends that died, for example. The lone survivor's motivation can be as simple as wanting to bury their friends properly, or even to have them resurrected by a powerful cleric. The NPC, of course, will refuse to accompany the party if asked because the trauma is just too great for them. This is definitely not a tag-along NPC. However, I think if your players do somehow convince this player and this poor soul to tag along somehow, then this could create some fun moments when the NPC has a sudden PTSD moment at the most inopportune time, like when the party is trying to be stealthy. This is where you can make the NPC more of a liability than an asset, but still accomplish the mission of foreshadowing. So these are some of my favorite ways that I like to foreshadow danger in my adventure design. And I'm always looking for new ideas, so let me know if I've missed any that you like to use at your table. You know, Dragon Riders, I always read all my comments and I always try to reply to all the questions that you might have. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to support this channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you never miss our next episode. Until then, Dragon Riders, ride that fat dragon. I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.